tell it to give you 10 ideas about, ways to generate income using AI, what the processes are, like what do you need to do, how do you do it? Like it can literally put everything in there for you. So just to help you get different ideas. But again, if you already have an idea, you can tell it, I have this idea that I want information on. What do I need to do to get it started? I need marketing plan. I need the SEO. I need all of the information. You can just have it give you all the information that you need in order to start it, get it going, and to keep it running. So from start to finish, it can give you all of the information that you're looking for in order to have a side hustle, or even just a regular, if you want to start a job or a company, it can give you that information as well. Like it's very, again, the more detail and information that you give it, the better information you're going to get back from it. So I would just, again, just say whatever you can think of as you're typing, just put all that information in there. Just give it as much. It may seem like you're just typing a lot, but the more information, the more detailed you are, um, just precise information, just feed all of it in there and just see what the outcome is. And then again, the more information you get, the better outcomes you'll have. So I mean, there's several different things that you can do. Like I'm a YouTube junkie, so I'm always on YouTube watching people like how to start them. Like I am like, and when you were talking about the pictures, like there's things on there that, again, the precise words. If you want a voluptuous, hip, curvy woman with some black leather jeans on, like again, the more detail you give it, the more precise your picture is going to be. So as much detail as you could think of, like she said, the hazel eyes, the almond shaped hazel eyes, gold hoop earrings with mama on it, long hair flowing,
Right.
just again, the more information, the better
Right.
your outcome is going to be. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just learned that because I was using up all my tokens every single day, because I would put a prompt in and then it would ask me a question. I put some more in, it asked me another question. So I wasn't giving it enough information. So I was running out of tokens. And I was like, why do I keep running out of tokens? Like, this is weird. I'm paying for this. Should have more stuff. Like, so, but I wasn't feeding it enough information for it to give me back a very good response to where it wouldn't have to keep regurgitating and asking me questions. So it's like you
Oh
just have to
yeah.
be very, very, very detailed and precise about the information that you're trying to get back. So again, it may seem like it's a lot, but the more the better, I say, as long as it makes sense.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
but
and
yeah,
you want
you can use it for pretty much anything, like to start,
Mm-hmm.
continue, finish, like from start to finish in a business. It can literally help you do that. And I do that again every day, how to incorporate things into my business, as well as like little side hustles that I could potentially do.
Mm.
and see, I'm very um analytical about the way that I process things. So I use it to brainstorm, but I tend to narrow down a little bit. I still give it a lot of detail, but precise. And I would not ask for 10. I would maybe ask for 3, 5, or 7. And ideas, and then I would say, get of these 3 or of this 5 or 7, give me the top 2, 1 or 2 or what have you, considering my region, and specifically hone in on the things that could affect the amount of income that I'm going to get. So one of the things is the region. What I would get maybe in California is not going to be the same as what I get in Indiana. So I would, I
Mm-hmm.
put that kind of stuff in there, and then just asking it based on my skill set. Putting in attaching my resume or my CV to that, and to the chat, and saying, hey, given my skills and experience, what would be a good way to generate extra income? And for those people that are looking to transition or change roles, or looking to stay in traditional workplace, you can easily write to jobs that way too. So if you're trying to, procure another position, or what have you, um, putting your resume in there, and then having all your skills, all your information, just getting that all in there, and then using that as your own GPT and saying, okay, now here is this job description, adjust my resume and cover letter to fit it. And it will do that for you. So just helping you maximize those things so you're not spending so much time having to write directly to it. The system is doing the grunt work, the heavy lifting for you, and then you just go in and edit and make the changes and make it sound the way you want. But as you use it more often, it will pick up your tone. So at some point you'll get to a point where you can say, make this sound more like me. And it knows what how you would write, how you generally write, or what tones you usually use. But in the interim, you could say, I want this to sound professional, but not over the top, not extremely professional. I want it to still have a little, light conversation in it. And you can just tell it what you want your tone to be. And ultimately, your application will pick up your tone.
Mm. That's what my daughter does. She lives out in San Francisco. She used to live in Silicon Valley, but what she does is
Mm-hmm.
she uses AI to match companies with prospective employees, and
Mm-hmm.
they use her service to streamline um,
Mm-hmm.
their job seeking process.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's something that is added value to those
Mm-hmm.
companies because, for one thing, they're not, spending as much time out looking for candidates for specific positions that are available.
Mm-hmm.
And, then they're getting a better match
Right.
because they're tailoring those, specific jobs to,
Mm-hmm.
the people that are coming to interview. So yeah, she does
Exactly.
that as a business. That's her
Mm-hmm.
job.
Yes.
That's her business. That's what she has set up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And that is, that's a way, again, to generate extra income because that's a service that, I could offer to people, just helping them g- get those things in order and organize and kind of adjust as they need to. You can make it set up so you could just, say, hey, give me what should my information be on LinkedIn, and how should I
Mm-hmm.
present this, and what would be my skill set. And you could just, as you add new skills, certificates, certifications, or what have you, you simply go in there and you add that, and you just tell it, add this, and it's already a GPT for you. So whenever you get ready to do that, you just go to that GPT and it'll give you the prompts to say, okay, wait, what's the job? What do you want to do? I want to write to this job. Do you want a cover letter or a resume? I want a resume. And it pulls all of your information, or I want a cover letter or a letter of interest or a CV or what have you. And it's going to pull all that stuff for you.
Shanita, did you have a question?
Yeah, can you hear
Mhm.
me, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so basically, I was going to ask a question about the resumes,
Mhm.
and so basically, you're saying it's best to let AI help you because it communicates with each other when they're doing the filtering process. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah, well, it kind, yeah, pretty much it does. And it is very helpful because it's going to, and you could specifically say, make sure that my resume gets read by AI as it's put into the system, or, whatever software they're using, because yeah, they, most of them use some sort of AI to cipher through the applications and the resumes. Yeah.
Because that was the biggest take. Because that was an aha moment for me. Because if that's the system of how people are weeding out applications,
Hmm.
you're using a language that's not like AI customarily how we're writing, or we're not utilizing the tool. So you're
Hmm.
getting filtered out because you're not using the AI filter, basically.
Kind of, yeah, yeah. There was
Mm-hmm.
I was reading something a couple of weeks ago on LinkedIn, and a lot of people were getting overlooked for roles and things of that nature, and they could not understand why, because they felt like they were very qualified, sometimes overqualified for the roles, but they were just not getting anything. And it was one of the gentlemen had some tables and things of that nature in his resume, and when you're running it through those systems, sometimes the ones that certain employers use don't do well with tables. So it's better to not use tables. And if you're going to, save it as a PDF and making sure that it's not, you want to know what fonts that you should use and the ones because some fonts turn into, like, you've seen the ones that turn into um I call it
Mm,
gobbledygook. And it looks
mumbo
like little,
jumbo.
yeah, it looks like that. And so that's kind of what they're getting in their system for your resume. So of course they don't know what your skill set is because they can't read any of the information. So just
Mhm.
and even if you don't want to use AI to generate your resume, but just asking it what fonts you should use, what size, you know, those types of things, just so that you know that you're going to be able to let the system read it, and you'll be weeded out based on the fact that maybe you're not qualified versus the system didn't recognize your stuff.
Latanya, if I could
Yes.
add something here, you
Mm-hmm.
guys have done a great job. But the
Thanks.
thing I would add would be what a lot of those systems are doing is they're going through and they're looking at keywords too,
Mm-hmm.
right? And if you
Yep.
don't have
Mm-hmm.
certain keywords and certain phrases in there, they're taking you out. And one of the
Yes.
things you can do is take that, as you mentioned, take that job description in your
Mm-hmm.
resume and
Mm-hmm.
have it define what the keywords are in the job description, and
Mm-hmm.
then plug those keywords into your resume,
Mm-hmm.
right? Identify places you can put them in. So not really
Yes.
creating your resume, but
Mm-hmm.
really updating it so that,
Right.
and you could, some people might say, well, you're still cheating, but in
Mm-hmm.
reality, all you're doing is just trying to get somebody to see your resume,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes.
You still have
Yes.
to get the job. So it's not,
Right.
in my mind, it's not really cheating, but
Yeah.
It's
And I
Yeah,
not.
put
some
my resume in there. So it's my true resume is actually I put
Mhm.
it into the system. So it has all of my skills, all of my experiences, all of those things. And then it just, like Chris said, it takes those, and maybe I worded it this way, but here are the keywords that I need to use. So it's just taking and making, using a synonym for something that I already have that's going to better fit what it is that the employer's looking for. So I
Yes,
don't consider that cheating. I just consider it using my
enhancement.
resources.
It's
Yeah,
enhancement.
there you go. I'm
So
using my
that's
mhm.
resources. Hmm.
yeah. So I mean, so that's something that's almost like a extra credit homework that I'm going to do, because at the end of the day, you just have to upload your resume. Is that what you do?
Hmm. Yep.
Okay. So, just because we have to start learning techniques, and that's really why this is important for us to have a forum like this, so we
Hmm.
can know best practices when we are up against so many different
Hmm.
uh barriers or challenges.
Hmm.
So if this is an opportunity for us to get in front of the line
Yes.
and to do a
Mhm.
little bit more innovative approaches to getting resources, this is more
Hmm.
valuable as
Mhm.
we start talking even more. So
Yes.
I'm glad that
Mhm.
that part was shared. So everybody in the class, we hear that about the resumes.
Yes.
I have a
Now, and
question.
don't let your resume, now if you don't use certain terminology, don't put it in your
But
resume.
Mm,
Because
right.
you go
Chris
in
just
there
gave
and
us a little comparison. He said take the job description along
right.
with your resume and
Hmm.
do a merger type thing. Like, hey, so
Exactly.
so he gave us a little note to do. So I
Hmm.
took that down. So that's what I'm
Hmm.
just saying. That
Yes.
so this little note has made me happy. So we're gonna see what happens with that.
Well, good. I'm glad.
I have a question about the format.
Yes.
Um, I'm mentoring a couple of people,
Hmm.
and they have resumes that they've bought a template on Canva
Hmm.
to their resumes, and it reads very nice and succinct. But how does AI pick that up? I mean, is there a problem fitting your experience, history, your information into a template like that? Because it does a lot of font changes and putting things in blocks or
Hmm.
frames, I guess.
Hmm.
Does is AI okay with how it needs to read all that, or should it just be the traditional resume we've done for the last 80 years and read it through the system?
No, AI is, I mean, if you're putting it in AI, you can specify, like when you put it in, you could say, when it generates it out, you can tell it what font you want. things to be in, the things that you want bold, what you don't want bold, how you want your bullets to look, all of that. And then you always have the option, and I use this a lot, but to copy and I paste only the text and then I'll format it the way that I need it to be formatted. So when you generate it, you can, one, you can have it downloaded into a document, and you can take the information from that document and copy it and paste it as you want it to be, like in the Canva template. But I would just copy and paste the text only and not the formatting. Um, and
So those individuals that want to submit a resume that's already formatted like that,
mhm.
is that going to count against them when the employer gets it and puts it through their system? I mean, is it going to mess things up? So, because I want to know what to recommend. Someone asked me, well, can I keep my Canva resume? And
Mhm.
I didn't know the answer to that. Or do I just do a, clean one so that when it's like uploaded to someone else's AI looking for key skills and experience, is it going to get misread or messed up or not counted because it's a lot of stuff going on in their resume?
Um, that's a great question. It just depends on the um the application. Usually when you do it in Canva though, in order to download it or to share it out, it prompts it to become a PDF. So it is going to download it as a PDF. So it's only going to put the PDF formatting, and PDF is a standard universal
Okay.
application. So it'll read accordingly. So it'll still have the nice formatting, but it's going to pull it in as a PDF when it's in Canva.
Okay.
So yeah, you don't have to worry with that. And that's the other thing, putting it as a PDF is usually the safest way, because if somebody doesn't have a particular application that you're using, then PDF, all they need is a reader, and most people have Adobe Reader.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
I was just going to say one other thing about um, making uh, changes to your output based on. It, I did a grant on ChatGPT, and some of the things that I had to watch out for specifically in this grant were making sure that I had I had the program go through and look at terms that there were buzzwords for DEI.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason for that was because the state in particular vernacular is, I guess, a buzzword for DEI, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
urban or whether it's urban renewal. Certain
Mm-hmm.
types of phrases or buzzwords
Mm-hmm.
kind of get you kicked out in the first round. You really don't
Right.
get considered. So
Mm-hmm.
that's another thing you kind of really have to watch out for if you're applying for a grant, especially
Mm-hmm.
in a red state like we are here.
Right.
Sorry, it just is.
And that's another thing that you could use your AI to do. You could simply put in there, okay, you know, what are buzzwords for DEI? What are other or alternative ways that would potentially get something thrown out for that? And it'll give you a list of those, and then once you get that, you could say, okay, you could just put a copy of the document in there, just add it, with the plus sign. And if you're using Chat GPT, and just say, you know what, screen this document for any of these buzzwords.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could just say, screen this document for any of the buzzwords relating to DEI or
Correct.
potential buzzwords. And then you could go in and, maybe ask it, provide me with alternative wording. And that would
Mm-hmm.
further give you that prompt, so you could have alternative phrases or words that you could use to replace that. And if you're using Word, then you just simply go in and do a find and replace and
Right.
change it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this is Shanita again. I have a question. Do you, Chris, or anyone, one of you guys know anything about using AI for the podcast world, as far as creating, maybe content, or, ways to increase the volume of people who would come to your podcast, how to reach audiences? Does anyone utilize AI in that way?
Not personally, but we did have someone that had a podcast in our class. I would say just kind of the way that you would typically use it to like, are you trying to like generate additional content for your podcast?
Content, but also reachability. Sometimes they use algorithms within the framework of how you get more exposure. So I was wondering if maybe AI had the ability to help you understand the algorithms that could reach your target audience, or help you expand your following, if that makes sense.
I
I
would
think, go
I would
ahead. I'm sorry.
suggest just putting it in there and say like the target audience you are trying to reach. Just let it know that these are the people that I'm trying to reach. How would I go about, getting that algorithm, or what would I need to do to reach this audience on this particular platform? So you could give it information about the platform that you're using. So if you're using like Spotify or just like Facebook or things like that, then you could just put that information in. I'm using this particular platform and I need to reach more people. What do I need to do to gain that audience? How do I
Right.
gain that audience and engage that audience? And
Yeah.
just see what the outcome, what it gives you back, and then kind of go from there. You may have to tweak it a little bit, but I would initially put that in, how to gain that audience with my podcast. Like,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so you would just your target audience. And then if it gives you the algorithm, if you're not clear as to what it is, then you could just ask it, put it in layman's terms, or explain it so that maybe a seventh or eighth or ninth grader could understand. And I say that not to say that your level of thinking is on that level. It's just that that is just a common level for lay people to understand certain terms. It's like, okay, like make it clean, make it clear, and help me understand it. So I always do like seventh grade, between seventh and ninth grade, just so that I don't have to think real hard. And, it's like, hey, I need it to be plain. So, if you're not sure what it's telling you, then tell it to break it down for you. And one thing I do want to share is you don't have to use the nicety stuff. So you don't have to do the pleases and the thank yous. You can just tell it what you want. So you don't use your tokens. So you don't have to say please and thank you.
Yeah, I think basically what it's like is you're beginning to have a alter conversation with yourself. So your AI space becomes your alter ego in a sense. So it enhances your thinking, and what you're trying to build, to give you that next level exposure. So that's kind of how I see it happening right now.
Hmm.
Is that it's learning how you talk, it's learning
Hmm.
what you ask for, and then it's starting to form a universe around what you're using or asking for. That's what it seems like.
Hmm.
Yeah, the more information you feed it, the more information that it'll give back to you. So if you're saying like create a business plan and you've already put like your business information, your email, your website, all this stuff, it'll create all of that for you and it'll implement that stuff into the prompt
Hmm.
to the information that it gives you back. So again, the more
Yes.
information you give it, the more about yourself it's going to give you back that information in the prompts that you ask.
Hmm. Yeah, in one of our classes, I can't remember, was it the first or second SEER group, but one of the people said, "How does it know my name?" But at the beginning when you sign up, it puts you put your information in there, so it gives you a personalized greeting, because this person was very skeptical about the whole AI thing, and we assured them that it knows your name because you put it in there. So it's not going to steal your soul.
Well, I'll jump in here because I've kept my mouth shut for a few minutes.
Hmm.
So Um, Actually a long time. The just to kind of go back to the question, you can use AI to do some things. You were talking about trying to increase um, listeners. And one of the things you can do, for example, is you can get the text transcripts of most podcasts. So you could take those transcripts from somebody that you aspire to be like, and take those transcripts and go through and have it compare those transcripts to your transcripts to see what are the differences, right? Are they long? You can use it to go out and look at a number of different podcasts and say, are they longer? Are they shorter? You can use it to go out and see how they might market it, right? So are they putting it, do you see a bunch of LinkedIn ads or do you see Facebook ads? Do they have a lot of, does it seem like they have a lot of email subscribers? You'd be surprised the information that's out there that's just not quite uncovered. It's just not right in front of you. And the other thing you can do is you can actually go in and run the audio through, to see if there's differences in tone. Are they happy? What's the tone of how they communicate? There's a lot of different things you can do. You can have it critique, and then once you get that, you can have it critique your script that you're going to use for your podcast, right? You've got questions and you got somebody answering, or maybe you're just going on diatribes, which is my favorite kind of podcast. Um, and you can have it go through and do some analysis for you on not only the script itself, but also the analytics around it.
Hey, I got the second nugget for today. So yes, so that's basically what I was thinking is how do you take, and compare how you're doing to kind of put you in the level where your competitors are so that you can start, being intentional with how you reach people and how they are going to hear you. So having
Yeah.
like a strategic plan on how to move yourself up the podcast lane online by
Yeah.
using other people's success and just climbing on their shoulders, but
Yeah.
letting AI help you in that sense.
It could also help you identify your guests that you want to bring in. And as well, it could help you identify and reach out to places you want to be you want to be a guest on, right? Because when you
Wait a minute,
go,
repeat that and slow it down because that was
okay,
something good. So,
so
so
podcasting to me is always kind of interesting. And I don't know that people really think about it this way, but the way I think about it is that you're really trying to get exposure to other people, right? So if you do a podcast that is you and I talking, and that's what we do every week, then it's going to be, are they really interested in us and how do we get our message out? But with a podcast, you also have the ability to bring people in. And when you bring them in, you're bringing their audience in too. You're getting a shot at their audience. And so there's a good chance that you could link to them or whatever, right? And include them, and you include them in social media. So you can kind of grab on their coattails for a brief period and get, because they're going to probably share it out. Hey, got this, da 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 da. So your job is really to try, when you're doing that, is really to try and impress their listeners, right? And so you can use AI to help you find people who have, or podcasts who are similar to yours, but yet are different enough, and then help you reach out to them and offer ways where you could help them by coming on their podcast,
okay, exactly.
right?
So that's yes.
And
So
vice
that's
versa, right? That's why everybody um, everybody tries to get the most important people they can, brand recognition, and also you bring in their audience. So if you can bring in their audience and you can do a good job on that podcast, there's a chance you might pick up some of some of their listeners, they may go, wow, you know, that Shanita, she really knows what she's talking about. I really like that podcast. Let's, I'm going to subscribe to that, or I'm going to listen to some more of that. And that's really the reason why you want to bring in guests. You want to bring them in for your listeners, but you also want to bring them in for the people that follow them.
See, Chris, I like
And
the way you marketed me, just like that. I love that Shanita. I love her podcast. So you said,
was I marketing you? I didn't think so.
yes, I like that. Like you're manifesting that. So that's what it's saying. So I appreciate that. So yes, okay.
What you were up in front of me. I've got speaker view on in Zoom, and you came up, and that's typically the way I choose what names I use, right? Is whoever happens to be in speaker view on my screen, because I'm not that
Now
creative
listen.
that I can
See,
come up with something
even
else.
speak of I'm stepping my game up already. So yes.
All right. Okay, so we are at 8:07 and we've had some fun. I hope you've learned a lot. By the way, he's not here, but let me make sure he's not here before I get myself in trouble. EMIL. Yep, he's here. So, Emil, while we're talking, you piped up a few questions and then you left. And now you're back. And I don't think you've had an opportunity really to speak to this cohort, have you?
No, I haven't.
Would you like an opportunity?
Yes, I will. I'm actually driving, so I didn't want to uh, talk do it over the phone. But I would love to. I think um, just from everything I've seen, everybody's they're doing a great job. The attendance has been good. So let me get
Okay.
to a place where I can talk a little bit. Sorry.
Can you at least
No,
tell us who you are?
Yes,
I'll
let me
tell
do
you who
that.
he
So,
is I'll tell you who he is while he drives. Um, his name's Emil Ekiar, and he is the founder of InnoPower. And
Oh,
he he's a very interesting guy. He's got a pretty interesting background. He came from Nigeria when he was 15 or 16, and he had never played football. He can correct me here when he gets to a safe spot. He'd never played football prior to coming to the U.S. He played football in high school for a couple years, got a scholarship to the University of Central Florida, played there 4 years, and then was drafted in the NFL and played in the NFL for 6 years. He left the NFL, he retired from the NFL and has done a variety of things. And he right now is the president of InnoPower. And InnoPower is a for-profit and a not-for-profit. The not-for-profit side is the one that we're working on right now. And what we're trying to do is democratize AI for everybody. Um, you know, there's a number of reasons why I've harped about AI being this being one of those moments in time where everybody's on, a lot of people are on the same level, right? Doesn't matter your education or whatever. And so Emil was kind enough to get the idea of going to do democratize AI and then brought me in to help him. So are you ready to
Chris,
talk?
I'm like Shanita. That was great. Thank you so much.
okay.
Hi everyone. Chris already introduced me. I've been I spent a lot of time in Gary over the years. One of my someone I know really well opened 21st Century Gary, the charter school years ago, and we came down because we liked the concept of kids getting dual credit. And at that time, when I first came, well, not when I first came, one of the first times I came for 21st Century, well, the young lady had just graduated from 21st century with a bachelor's. So I thought that was the most amazing thing. And in my mind, I was like, how can we do that where every young black kid in the state of Indiana, every young person can do the same thing, right? Could graduate from high school, take college credits. So, I've always been like innovation, things that are not normal. I try to figure out how do we make it normal, right? So that way everybody has access to it. So we say that we identify opportunity and we try to create access to those opportunities. We think there's so much talent in Gary. We think the only way is up in Gary. Eddie Melton is a good friend of mine as well. I met Shanita Starks back then. When I met her, she was working in the mayor's office with the city. And, what really, what I loved about her was just her energy to go get it done. There was nothing, you say, Shanita, let's go do this. She's like, let's go get it, And, people like that who just have energy to empower other people, I just gravitate to them. And her heart and her energy was all around that. I've seen her where she got sick and she was still calling me about Gary this, Gary. I'm like, Shanita, you're sick. Don't worry about all that. That'll take care of itself. But she still cared more about other people than even taking care of herself. So years later, and we've done quite a few things, and we're doing a lot of things in Indianapolis. But sometimes it seems like when we do things here, like people in Northwest Indiana get forgotten about. And we wanted to make sure as we're doing this AI training, that Chris gets a chance to engage. And not just that, Chris himself also was like, we got to go to Northwest Indiana and start the training. We got to at least see if people are interested in this training to be able to learn how to use AI and how they can better themselves, their businesses, or just help their community as a whole. So obviously, as we were thinking about it, Shanita was also thinking about it, and she called, and we just started to say, let's go do it. And here we are. So the goal with all of this is the initial training that you're getting right now in prompt engineering is what I tell people is like Chris said, I played sports my whole life, right? And in sports, you're always trying to look at what is the basic fundamental, the basic skills. If I want to play basketball, what are the basic skills I need to learn to start playing basketball? Well, to play basketball, you got to know how to dribble, you got to know how to shoot, you got to have basic fundamentals. And that's the same thing with AI. The basic fundamentals is the prompt engineering. If you don't know how to give, I think I heard Dr. Latanja say this, or Laura, one of them, is giving the instruction to the AI to get it to do exactly what you want it to do, right? Not what it wants to do, because it will do what it wants to do, but to get it to do exactly what you want to do, that is a skill that can be developed. And this class you're taking is all about doing just that. I was talking to Chris, and we were thinking back to when the internet first came out. What were we doing? How did we use it? And I can't even remember what I did or how I used it when it first came out. I've been thinking so hard about that to try and think, was I using it to get better? Did I know how to use it to go make money? But other people did. Other people used the internet when it first came out to do all kind of things, and they got ahead. And some people that didn't do that are still trying to catch up. So we don't want the same thing to happen with AI, where there's things that you read every day, and you're like, oh my God, this is so great. But you just don't know that they use AI to create it. So it's not like they're better than you. It's just that they've gotten the skills and they're using the skills. So when we say we want to democratize access, we want everybody to have the opportunity to know how to use the tool and decide how they want to use it to get better. In Indianapolis, one of our master trainers was training her church. So she had people from her church to come get the training. There was a lady that was about 72 years old that came to get the training. She got the training, and what she started doing was she took her picture and used AI to make her picture kind of just make her look glam. Like she adjusted her picture fix wrinkles in her face, did different things, and her pictures were so nice. Well, everybody in the church started coming to her to do the same thing. It wasn't long till she figured out, like, you know what, I'm just going to charge. Right? Now she's making money with different adults, helping them just refigure their pictures because they haven't learned how to use AI. So it all comes down to, as we go forward for the rest of our lives, those of us who are older, those of us who are younger, what you're learning today is what is going to be abundant in the world. This is what everyone is going to be using. So whether you learn it today or you learn it 5 years from now, at some point you got to learn it. So that's what the class is doing. And it's been amazing to us to see. Today, in the last 4 months, we've trained about 500 people. Not just Chris. Chris trained 30 people. Those 30 people went out and trained 20 people each. Right? So in Gary, we hope that this is just the beginning. As you guys learn prompt engineering, when we go into automation, you come in to learn how to automate your systems. When we go into building agents, you come to learn how to build agents. But you can't do any of those if you don't know prompt. So that's what we're doing. And like I said, this is just the beginning. We have master trainers in Indianapolis that are training people in Liberia. Right? We're doing trainings in Nigeria. Right? There are not a lot of people that really, it amazes me that not a lot of people really understand how to prompt. And if you don't believe me, you start asking people, do you know how to prompt? Do you know what prompt is? Prompt engineering is. And see how many people can tell you what it is. Just test that tomorrow. And people that you think are high level, go to them and say, do you know what prompt engineering? Can you explain it to me? And see what they say. So we're excited about just getting this started in Gary. We wanted to get it started. We didn't care if it was 10 or if it was 20, right? Shanita was like, let's get it. She is our person in Gary. She's our person to recruit people. Our goal is to have a physical AI studio in Gary. So all of these things, but it's also to help all of you. If you have a small business or if you have an idea of launching a business, we want to work with you to help you build that out. And we think the AI can help speed that up for you. So again, Chris does when Chris trains people, I got to pull him away from those people. Like he's married to them. So Chris and you guys are tied in because the one thing I love about his work is he's really invested in trying to help not just the group, but individuals find out what they're good at and how they can use AI to make them better. So I really appreciate y'all doing this. Again, the way we see it is we're doing it for free, but it's not free. It's free because we're not charging for this class. But we hope that you are learning and you'll go out and pass that knowledge on. If you said, hey, look, we have so many people that we want to train, can you support us? You don't have a master trainer certificate, but we have other master trainers that will be willing to come alongside with you. Like we have people coming to us and say, look, we have 30 people in our church wants to do the training. So that's how we're going to democratize access, because the 20 of you are going to go out and get 20 more people. And now there's 400 people in Gary trained before the end of the year. So thank you. I don't want to take too much of your time. Every hour, every 2 hours that you do this is important because you're learning. But I really can't wait to come to Gary and meet you all in person when we give out the certificates, when we see the projects that you've created. That's what I look forward to, is to know where you started and then come back and see. On the call today, Bolanle is on this call. She's actually in Nigeria right now. It is 8 o'clock, so it's almost 2 in the morning in Nigeria, and she's on the call taking this class with y'all because it's virtual. People join from all over the world because they're trying to get the knowledge. So thank you all so much. Thank you so much, Chris. Dr. Latanja, thank you for joining and supporting them. Laura, thank you so much. Again, it's people giving their time to help other people get better. And that's what we hope all of you will do the same thing too.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Emil.
Nice. Thank you.
So before he runs off or drives off, does anybody have any questions for Emil?
I had a question, but it was totally off subject.
Go ahead and ask it. He'll answer it.
Yeah, you good.
You have a dual profit and non-for-profit. So you have a hybrid. This is a hybrid business model. Then I mean a 501c3. So you have a hybrid.
No, that's a great question, right? So, you know, in life, there's certain things that are in your heart to do that you're not going to make money. You want to do it. But sometimes you just can't always spend your own money doing it, right?
Right.
So the nonprofit allows you to go see, can I get funding to do things that I want to do to help our community and people? Right? There was a time that, you know, we just spend our own money, and that's not sustainable, right? Because that's your money that you work hard for. You want to take care of your family. So the nonprofit allows you to do the things that are in your heart that you want to do, and you don't have to necessarily just spend your money doing it. You can try to get funding to do it, or if you spend your money doing it, you can get the tax write-off back.
Right. I did one for the edition I'm a president for because I want to be able to, like you said, be able to make a profit, but then put that money back into the business. A lot of times you can't always depend on grants and stuff to keep to keep the nonprofit afloat. So you need to be able to, raise that money. So it was great that the Internal Revenue Service let people do that. It's because it's relatively new.
Yeah, so you could be a nonprofit, right? So give you an example. I'll use this AI training. If you're a nonprofit, right, and you say, I want to do AI training, I just can't do it for free. So I'm going to charge $10, but it really costs $100. But what happens is the funding can help you subsidize that cost, right? So you can reduce that cost.
Right.
But your nonprofit can receive revenue. Your nonprofit can get paid.
Exactly.
Right? So you can receive revenue as a nonprofit, and sometimes people call it social enterprises, right? Where you have a social impact to what you do, right? You're trying to make a difference, but you're also charging what people can afford.
Exactly.
Right? And a lot of times in our communities, right, people automatically think, oh, folks are not going to pay, but people haven't really researched how much can folks really pay. And if I can charge what folks can pay because of the number of people, then I can really make money because it's scaling now.
Absolutely. Yep.
And those are the kind of things that we hope you can use AI to do, to say, look, I have this idea, I want to do this in Gary, right? But here's what the average family makes in Gary. Here are the things that I'm trying to do. Can you research? I think Laura was saying, can you show me somewhere in the world that is doing something similar and how much they charge, right? So I ask people this all the time when they say, hey, I'm doing this and this and this, and people ain't going to pay. So I ask them, I say, how many people have you asked if they're willing to pay and how much can they pay?
Right.
And then nobody can answer me. Well, if you're building a business, if you're building something that is going to impact people, then you should be able to answer me and say, you know what, I talked to 25 people, and 10 of those 25 say they'll pay this much. Right? So as you come up with ideas with AI or just on your own, right, don't automatically just think, oh, man, folks ain't going to pay. Those same folks that you say ain't going to pay, when that new Jordan comes out and it's $250, they got the brand new one.
Right.
So they'll pay for what they feel is value for
It's
them, right?
right. It's priorities.
And also, Laura and them were saying that is the marketing and storytelling that you can use. And Chris was just talking about the podcast. There's just so many things today that we can do that 5 years ago to go try to do was just going to cost so much money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's been able to understand those things and do research. And Chris is going to share all these different tools that you can really do your research. And I know sometimes, because even me and Gary, when I'm trying to find data, it's so hard to find data to do research. But now you don't have to go through all that because you can use the AI and do the best research in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
hopefully, thanks for that question, because those are the kind of questions. But I challenge you to ask the question, to use AI and ask that question about the
Mm-hmm.
nonprofit and the for-profit, and how
Mm-hmm.
you can best create that model where your nonprofit is unapologetically making money and your
Mm-hmm.
for-profit is making some money to sustain what you're doing, but not necessarily big profits. How can you
Yeah.
build that?
You mean from what we have right now? Because we already set up the hybrid for our association. So you're saying ask AI how we can utilize it to utilize it to the I guess to the utmost of the. Tell me
Let
what
me
you
give
tell me what you said again. Word
let me
it the
give you an
way you.
example.
Yeah.
Let me
Okay.
give you an example.
Okay.
So Indiana Black Expo is a nonprofit, right?
Right.
But they have the Circuit City Classic, they have Summer Celebration, and people pay and they make money on those things, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But they also receive grants and things
Right.
like that because
Mm-hmm.
they're a nonprofit,
Correct.
right? So with AI, to ask AI the model that allows you as a nonprofit, right?
Uh-huh.
So and this is the beauty of learning how to prompt. The prompt that you give the AI to say that, okay, here's my organization, here's what I do, here's what we do, here's Gary, Indiana, here's the demographic makeup. We're trying to figure out how can we generate some revenue with our nonprofit doing what we do, and allow
Okay.
the AI to give you some options, right?
Okay.
But
Gotcha.
when you go through the prompt, if that's the prompt that you create, to give the AI that prompt so it can know exactly what you want, and then it can go do the research and give you the feedback you're looking for.
Okay. Do you think that it would be that it would help if I could give the prompt in such a way as to notate that, put it in the context of having an existing hybrid model 5013C.
I
So
think
in other
so.
words,
This is my challenge to you, right? So
okay,
the next class we have, when you go on between now and then, go on InnoPower.ai and go to the prompt creator. So there's a
okay,
tool in InnoPower AI called Prompt Creator.
okay,
Begin talking to it as far as what you're trying to do in the prompt you're trying to create. And
mm-hmm,
what it will do, it will walk with you till boom, you get the full final prompt. When it gives
right,
you the full final prompt, you take that prompt and then you go to the Chat GPT 4.0 on InnoPower.ai or 5.0, which
uh-huh,
insert that prompt in there to create whatever and see what it creates.
okay,
And then when we come to the next class, we'd love to hear your feedback on how that whole process went for you and what the final product was.
okay. Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. So let's see. We've got a half hour to cover prompting. So let's go ahead and do that. Thanks, Emil, for joining us and for your words of wisdom.
And I just want to thank Emil for really just believing in the fact of bringing it not only to Gary but also Michigan City. I spreaded it out because the same concept and those individuals that I knew for this beginning cohort is going to be instrumental. So you guys are stuck with me. Whoever's on this call right now, you're stuck with me forever because I just believe that's the power of how you multiply. And I just thank Emil for answering my call because I'm like, we have to have something that's going to springboard us. And I really do think that people on this particular cohort can actually change some different dynamics in our areas.
Thanks, Shanita. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to blow through the questions. Maybe. Let me get through the questions here. I had some good questions, I thought, this week, but we're going to skip them for right now. Okay, we're going to talk about prompting, right? So prompting is one, as Emil has said, is one of the most important things you can learn because it helps you start to understand how to ask for things. In this world where we're talking to computers, we need to be able to communicate in a way that it can understand what we're saying and then can turn around and respond back in a way that we understand. Now, it's I always think this is kind of interesting because we as humans don't always communicate very well with each other. So trying to communicate to a machine that can't really read your face yet, can't really understand your emotions, is going to be it's going to be particularly challenging, I think for a lot of us. But still, we need to learn how to ask good questions. We need to understand that when we're talking about prompt engineering, we're talking about a little bit of computer science, a little bit of language, and a little bit of communication skills, right? When I say computer science, I don't mean writing code. I don't mean understanding how to read Python. What I'm saying is the logic processes that you use, that I used as a software engineer, are very applicable for your prompt engineering. And I think you'll all find that. I think the folks that we had on the call tonight, Laura and Latanya, both would agree. I hope they're still here. I, I think they both would agree that it's really the skill of knowing how to ask questions and then knowing when you get a response back, changing what you're doing, right? Changing how you respond to it.
Yes.
And so, do you want to say something, Latanya?
No, I was saying I agree.
Oh,
Absolutely.
okay. Okay. So, why it matters. If you get really good at prompt engineering, it's going to help you improve your accuracy. It's going to reduce your errors. It's going to speed you up. It may not seem so because you're going to think, why do I have to put in all this context? Why do I have to put in all this detail? But it actually will speed you up and it gives you the possibility of using more complex and creative things that you generate or that you use in AI and not just in Chat GPT. You're going to find no matter what tools you're in, you're going to find words that want descriptions or they want prompts. And they're going to ask you, who is your audience? What is your tone? What is what's your objective? Who's this geared for? I'm been using a tool quite a bit lately called Synthesia, which is a video generation tool that you can use for training videos and corporate videos and stuff like that. And I got to fill all that stuff out. It's if I put in a blah, if I just put in what I want and don't fill out, narrow the audience, don't fill out what the tone is, I'm going to get something back that's not really what I want. So the concepts of prompt engineering are very important for you to have going forward. That being able to problem solve, you know, Latanya was talking about her research. I mean, research is one of the more, for me, doing research on Google is one of the most frustrating things that I could possibly do. I don't like it because I have to figure all this stuff out, right? Well, I have to look at it and go in and look at all these individual sites. AI will consolidate that for you so that you can then go in and say, okay, now how do I do this, right? How do I ask questions? And so if you think about prompt engineering as really being you're asking AI a question and it doesn't have an understanding of your world. So you need to be sure that you build all that in, that you give it all that context. So I talk about the clear approach. There's another one that we use called Spark. There's probably, I don't know, there's maybe 50,000 different frameworks that are out there, right? Everybody comes up with their own framework with their own acronyms so that they can write their book, right? And they can say, or authored a framework. I created a framework, right? And that makes them an instant expert. I use the clear framework, right? As just a way of communicating with it. With clear, you're talking about context. What's the context? What's the background I'm trying to do? I'm trying to write a my dissertation for my PhD in business administration, right? How much information did we give it there? We gave it the PhD, we gave it a dissertation, we gave it that we're doing an MBA, right? Just that one sentence narrowed it from this big down to this big, right? If you think about it, then what's next? What are you going to say next? I want length. If you don't give it a length, if you don't define it a length, it'll do as little as it possibly can. That's what it will do. It will do literally as little as it can if you don't give it a length. So you're going to, at times, if you don't care, it's okay. Don't give it a length. But if you want something in a specific range, I want you to write 1,000 words about the importance of AI in business. It's not going to get 1,000 on the nose. It may not even get 800, but it's going to be longer than you would get if you just let it go by itself. You want to set the E in clear stands for expectations. What is it you expect? What is it you're looking for? What is it you're trying to get? I'm trying to get a blog post of 1,000 words. I'm trying to get clarification on the rules of engagement for a dissertation, right? What are you expecting? I want a PDF with the worksheet information in it so that I can do what with it? I can download it. By giving it that part, that why you're doing it, you're now going to open it up. It's going to look at what you're trying to do, and it may come up with a better answer, right? You may be thinking you need to have a PDF, and it may come back and say, you really need to have a Word document for this, right? So use it, use the power of AI. Who's your audience? There's a big difference between speaking to a fourth grader and speaking to a seventh grader. There's a big difference between speaking to a 22-year-old and a 64-year-old. There's a big difference between speaking to somebody who lives in an urban area and somebody who lives in a rural area. There's a big difference between somebody on the East Coast and somebody on the West Coast. So define your target audience. Who is it I'm speaking to? who is it that's going to be, who is this aimed at? So that you get the right language. One of my two partners in this made the comment, I think it was Latanya, that said, have it speak to you like it's a fifth grader. And that you normally write a seventh, I believe she said she normally writes to seventh to eighth grade level, right? Define that. It'll help in coming back with the right language. You can use, you can ask it to explain a theory, right? Using basketball terminology. If you understand basketball terminology, or if you understand physics, or you understand business, you can have it explain it to you in the language that you understand. You can get in that, you can have it tell that story for you and then refine it. You know, I, there's been a lot of focus early on. There was a lot of focus about writing the perfect prompt. And I think it's less about writing the perfect prompt and more about being iterative and incremental. Write your prompt, run it, see what it comes back. When it comes back, is it what you expected? If not, tell it what you want it to do differently and submit it again. And start small. If you start small and build it as you go, when something goes wrong, you don't have to try to figure out which part of your prompt screwed it up. So be iterative and incremental. Is there anything either one of you would like to add about that? Laura?
No, I think you kind of touched on everything. Like, again, just making sure that you have all the letters in there, the context, the length, the expectations, audience. And then I say put it in, if you're only working in chat, maybe try it in like Claude and just see what the different responses are and then do it again. Like,
Mm-hmm.
just to, give you a little bit more information. One is more robust than the other. So
Yeah, depending on what you're trying to do, right? One's more robust than the other. And by the way, in InnoPower .ai, you can get to Claude and ChatGPT and Grok, and I forget what all else is in there. But you can get to other models if you want to try them out and see which one you think. Basically, this is an example, right, of how it works. What am I doing on time? It's 8:44. Okay. So you write your initial prompt, you add some context, you specify the length, you start telling it, setting the expectations, and then you define your audience, right? And then you can iterate on that. And this is how they iterate. This is how you go about it. One way you could go about it. Spark is another one that we talk about, right? So I'll let you read the slide. I'm not going to read it to you. Different format, pretty close to the same kind of thing, right? What's your context? Be specific or unspecific. Who's your audience? What are the rules? Any key details you want to add? Kind of all the same. Let you read this. Okay, so there are technical considerations with prompting as well, right? So they're different. The models are different, as Laura just alluded to, right? They're different. Different models do different things. And it's very tempting by all of us, me included. I'm the man of many, many subscriptions. It's very tempting to go out and get a subscription to everything that's out there. That gets pretty expensive. And so what I've found is, and what I suggest is, use InnoPower.ai if you don't know what model you want, right? use InnoPower.ai, because you can go out there and put, as Laura said, you could go out there and you could put the same prompt in 5 different versions. You could put it in all the different versions of Chat GPT that are out there and see what it gets. And it doesn't cost you anything. There are limitations on tokens, right? We've talked about tokens. We talked about it again, going back with the analogy of a desktop, right? You've only got a desktop that's so big, so fill it out, so when you run out of that, um, it's going to be, if you run out of tokens, it's going to be a problem. It's also, um, if you get, if you, when you submit your prompts, if you're not careful with the tokens, you may not get the entire answer back, even though you wanted it. Context windows, we'll talk next on Thursday about chain of thought, right? And context, understanding what's in context and what's not. And then APIs. So when I wrote this, there wasn't really such a thing as an MCP server. There's now a thing called an MCP server, which gives you the ability that you can connect it to Claude, or to ChatGPT. So when you think about okay, I've done this on ChatGPT, now I got to copy and paste it. Now we can start doing things like we can start integrating with our email, so that our agent runs and gives us a report every morning at 7:30 that summarizes all of our emails and identifies the top 10 based on its priority. Pretty powerful, right?
Can you
Very, very
repeat
powerful.
that, Chris? What'd you say?
That with APIs, it gives us the ability with APIs and MCP servers, you now can integrate large language models with other things that we have, like email, like Google Docs, like spreadsheets, like websites, and you can actually go in and have AI go through and give you a report in first thing in the morning that tells you what are the top 10 emails you need to work on, and what is, if there's anything that's overdue.
That's exactly
Kind of
what I
like
thought you said. So I can get a summary of my life as I can begin my day from my
Yep.
emails, and I have a blueprint of what I can respond to and
Yep.
what's priority. Okay, that's the third nugget you've given me today. Thank you.
You can go in and, for example, if you have say you got a B2B business, right? Business to business, and you're running Google Ads. And the people, when they click on the ad, you take them to a website, they fill out a questionnaire, they then get done. You can now have that questionnaire analyzed. You could categorize it into a lead, contact, or BS, right? Or spam, sorry, spam. So you could categorize it into one of those 3 things and automatically send an email back, right? With a personalized approach based on the information you've had. We can start doing those things because we can plug AI in the middle of them. There are a few challenges, right? Consistency is a problem. I'm going to go back a second. Anybody notice anything wrong with this picture? Other than she's got 3 hands?
I was going to say she has 3 hands.
Yeah. So this gives you an idea. I'll go check now that I see this, I'll go change it. But this was done 3 or 4 months ago is when I did this. Now, if I go back in, I'll bet you I can regenerate the picture and it will not be, she'll have 2 hands. That's how fast things are moving.
Mhm.
So you've got consistency, hallucinations. We've talked about that. Ethical use, and we've talked about bias. You got to manage the bias. right? You want to be sure you use inclusive language and all that. Review for fairness. Make sure that you're not introducing your own biases in there. Here's some industry applications.
Can I ask
Creating.
a question before we go further?
Sure.
Really fast? Okay, we're talking about, bias and that kind of thing. If we are trying to write something that has what some people might consider to be biased or um, uh, towards one way of thinking as opposed to another, then I mean that's kind of that's kind of a little bit of a slippery slope, only because if you're talking about, say, for instance, part of the homework was to go with one of those prompts and put it in there and see what the output was, and I put my one of my prompts was to change the outcome. What would be the outcome of of anticipated outcome of the history if Martin Luther King were not assassinated. So there might be some things in there that are considered to be bias, or I guess, were you talking about in the actual prompt, what you're prompting your responses to be? Because some things may be biased. And I mean, I guess maybe am I making myself clear at all? Am I making sense at all in terms of trying to avoid, being biased in,
So
in,
so there's a couple different
okay.
kinds of there. There's probably more than a couple, but there the kinds of bias that I think of right now are there's bias in the LLM, right? There's bias in the AI that
Mm-hmm,
comes from, and we talked about that last week, or on, we talked about that last Thursday, where it's trained on data and the people that are doing the testing have a very narrow view, so they don't know to test for the other things, right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So there's that kind of bias. There's the induced bias where somebody injects bias into it, right? And then
yeah,
there's the third bias, and the third bias is your bias.
mm-hmm,
You may coming in, you may have a bias one way or the other, and as the large language models learn what you learn about you based on your prompts and how you respond, they may pick up on that bias. If you see an example of that when you hear stories about people who clicked on one thing and the next thing they know, their social media feeds are flooded with all kinds of stuff, right?
mm-hmm, yeah,
So your bias, you need to watch out for all that.
mm-hmm,
So for example, review this document that I created and determine whether it is presents a fair review or if there's bias involved,
mm-hmm,
right? You're trying to seek
yeah,
out, and that's a badly worded prompt, but you get the idea, right? You're trying to
yes,
you're trying to understand what and have something, have it be objective and tell you, are you inherently biased too? Whether if you're talking about business, I personally am biased toward startups, and um, I'm biased toward those that don't have, right? Other people might be
mm-hmm,
biased toward those that are. So it's
mm-hmm,
kind of all that.
okay.
So you asked if I understood what you were asking. Did you
Right, yeah.
understand how I responded? Did I get you
Yeah,
just
I did. I said, well, maybe it's a combination of me getting sleepy or whatever, but it sounded like I wasn't explaining myself clearly. But yeah, I understood your answer.
Okay. Well, it's not you're sleepy or whatever, right? Bias is one of those tricky things that it depends on the eye of the beholder, you
Right.
know? So some people come in and they've got, they've got a very jaded view of life, and they have a they have a different perspective than and a different value system than what you might. And you might have a different
Mm-hmm.
value system than them. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Think I got out of that without getting myself in trouble. Okay, industry applications. This has been up for a while. You can look at it, right? Here's some ideas you can do, right? You can design content concepts. You can do story development. You can create books. I had kids, fourth graders at Eastern Star Church, creating coloring books this summer, writing stories and writing their own music, and then actually having the music play using AI. Content creation, research assistance, literature review. I could have used that when I was in high school and college with English. Um, article writing, editing, iteration. Let's see what else have we got here. Okay, so I blew through that. It is an essential skill. I've said that before. It is continuous evolution, right? It's going to continuously evolve. What the way it works now is completely different than the way it worked even within the class. I think my partners would say that, right? That it's completely AI is completely different than when we started in March.
Mm-hmm.
Do you agree with that,
Yes,
Latanya,
I do.
Laura?
Yes.
Yep.
Collaboration. I think it really, I think it really opens up a lot of people um, I think it opens up the capabilities for people. In the past, you either had to have somebody build you a website or build you an app to do that, or give you access, or you had to have a lot of money. And now, for 20, for InnoPower, using InnoPower, you can use InnoPower for free during this class.
Mhm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and you can pay $20 and you can get somebody that can collaborate. And the big thing is you got to start, right? Start creating now. Um, we used and we used I used the class to help people. There are a ton of people that want to be authors, and I have them write a book, right? Everybody's got something they're interested in. It could be tiddlywinks, it could be, you know, Indian head nickels, it could be anything, right? Could be the queens of ancient Africa, whatever you're focused on. That's what I normally do, is have people write books because it's so creative. I mean, you get all kinds of help. It's 9 o'clock. So your homework is I'm going to give you the Are You Famous exercise, and I'll go on to show you what that looks like. The date's wrong on that. So I'm going to email you a PDF that is it's 3 pages, and it's Are You Famous? And what I want you to do is I want you to pick somebody who is famous. That it doesn't matter to me who it is. And then I want you to go through and answer a series of questions. What are they known for? What inspired you to do? You're going to ask them, what inspired you to do what you're known for? What challenges did you face and how did you overcome them? What is a day in your life like? Right? So, how do you think you're going to do your homework? How would you do this?
I'd load all these questions into ChatGPT or some AI product.
I would
Yep.
download that and ask it to answer
Yeah.
from what it knows about me already, and then I would edit it.
Well, I want you to interview somebody famous. So
Oh,
Kathleen,
so you
unless
want me to
maybe you're
interview
famous,
somebody?
maybe
Oh,
you're famous and you can have, if you've got multiple voices in your head, maybe you could have one interview the other.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize it was interview somebody
Yeah, I
famous.
want you to interview somebody famous, and
Oh, well, I
you
am
can pick them,
famous.
right? So how would you go about? So what would be the first thing you would do? What's the first thing you would tell it?
Pick a famous person.
Laura or Latanya,
Well,
would you like to talk about this?
Sure, you would tell it to take on a persona. So whoever the person is that you are wanting to talk about. So say, for example, um,
Mm.
I would say, you are Maya Angelou, Dr. Maya
mhm.
Angelou. And then I'd say, what are you known for? And then I'd ask it, or speak it, or I would start with speak as if you're Maya Angelou. And then I would ask it, what are you known for? And then I would start to ask it those questions. But I'm going to first start off asking it to take on that persona because I'm interviewing that person. So
Oh,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you're starting off having a conversation with Dr. Maya Angelou, for example, and that's who you would say you would have I'm interviewing that person, and but you're asking it to take on that persona.
well, you know, I
And
have been used to saying please. So
well,
I
you can say it. It's just,
I was envisioning or thinking about what you're saying. I said, well, maybe I would say, please take on the persona of, okay, I'm gonna stop saying please, but would it
it's
start
okay.
like that? Would,
Basically, it's like, okay, yeah, we're gonna start. Yeah, basically you're going to, because you're interviewing them. So you would actually start the prompt by saying, I am going to sit down and do an interview with Maya Angelou. As Maya Angelou, what would you say if I asked you, what are you known for? And then what is
okay.
it? Yeah, what inspired you to
I
do
see
what you
that.
do?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
you're just telling it to take on her persona, but you're
Right.
letting it know that you're going to be interviewing her, and these are the questions that you need
Mm-hmm.
answers to.
oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Got that.
Yeah.
Could I still just attach that and put and write what you said in the document without having to type all those questions out?
You can do it. I am I'm focused on the end result. Be creative and come
I'm
up
just
with your own.
asking, is it necessary to type each of those questions or
Well,
No.
there's a little. Can't you use a little microphone?
You
yeah,
can
you
use
could
the
do
Yeah.
that too.
microphone, you can upload the PDF.
Yeah, that's what I'm
I mean,
talking
there's a lot of different ways you can do it, whatever you prefer. He's pretty easygoing when it comes to grading it.
about.
He's not gonna, he's not gonna say, "Oh, you didn't put enough periods in here," or
Oh no.
he's not grading your syntax or your grammar. He just is looking for the prompting. So if you choose to take the PDF and upload it into the platform and say use this, and as I'm interviewing this person, how would as that person, how would you answer these questions?
Okay.
I mean, so it's just a matter of, yeah, or you could sit in and you could type the questions in, or
Mm-hmm.
however you want to do it.
And if you try to upload the PDF and then just have it answer the questions, I'd like for you to talk about that next time. Right? Because in this group, right, you're only, well, let me back up. You as individuals are only as smart as what you know.
Mm-hmm.
But when we put a group of you together and you all collaborate and talk and share ideas, you end up with a much better experience, and you end up being learning a whole lot more from everybody else than you do from me.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yep.
So, any questions?
Oh, I have a question. Will we get feedback on what we did this week?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to know.
On Thursday, if Latanya and Laura are going to be here, they will be, hopefully they'll be here and they'll be leading the charge. I'll still be here, but I want you to experience them as well. They are two of our best, and I want you to see how this this subject can turn you from, just kind of a hacking at AI to an expert pretty quick. And so and plus they do a better job than I do. So truth
You're
hurts.
so modest, Chris. Thank you.
Right. Thank you for the compliment, but
Right after Thursday, you're gonna be like, I think I'll
I
just
think I
take
better
this
take that back.
No, I'm not gonna take it back. No way. No way. Okay. If there are no questions, then I will send out an email to you with the Are You Famous PDF, and I'll remind you I'll also send the homework slide and the other two homework slides. So that if you haven't got those done, feel free to submit those to me as well. One last thing, you should have received an invitation from me from 3 to 4 every day for my office hours.
See that.
So those are open. You can come ask any question you want. You can, it's kind of first come, first serve. You can ask me anything from, about the class, about how you use AI in your job, about starting a business. We can talk about the Fever game that I'm not watching right now. So
That's okay. You'll just have to watch them in the playoffs.
Yes.
I'll have to watch them in the playoffs.
Yes.
Yeah, this is game 5. They're going to the championship game. My bad. The championship game.
Oh, okay. Okay. I thought.
Oh, and then I wanted to remind everybody, if you didn't see the chat, to make sure you fill out your form or you won't be accounted as here.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's
what
very
happened?
important. Very
Yes.
important.
Yes.
What? Wait a minute.
I didn't get a chance to do it last class. How
It
can I
was
go
in
back?
yeah, you
Uh-oh.
you might want to send Chris an email.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh.
send him an email.
And
But yeah, make sure.
And copy Blonde. She's on the
Yes.
invitation for the
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah, but just make sure and do that. Be mindful of the chat.
So, Chris, should we have gotten this email earlier today that invites us for the? We haven't gotten it yet.
No, I'll send it out tonight.
Oh, okay.
First
I'm
thing
like,
in the
I'm
morning.
looking at my email. I don't see that. Things disappear on that thing, so I don't know.
It happens to me too. Okay. Well, with that, we'll go ahead and end the call. Thanks, everybody. And
Thank you. Have a wonderful
See you Thursday.
Thank you
thank you,
all.
Latanya and Laura,
Thanks.
for showing
Bye.
up. And we'll
No
see everybody
problem.
on Thursday.
All right. Bye,
Have a good
everybody.
night.
Bye.
You
Bye.
too. Bye.
Bye.